In this video, we'll discuss what HashiCorp Terraform is, what it's used for, and how to get started. Terraform is an open source infrastructure as code tool created by HashiCorp. Terraform can enable users to define, provision, and manage infrastructure. Terraform can manage many different service providers and tools, including Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, Kubernetes, and more, including custom in-house service providers that you create yourself. Terraform is used to provision, manage, and version infrastructure and application resources, such as load balancers, virtual networks, application deployments, users, roles, policies, and much more. Rather than explicitly saying, here's what resources to create and what order to create them in, resources are defined declaratively. Terraform uses this declarative information to build out a dependency graph. That dependency graph is used to figure out what resources need to be created or managed and in what order to do that work in. If multiple resources have no dependencies on each other, then they will be managed or created concurrently. In addition to provisioning infrastructure, you can make changes to existing infrastructure or even delete it when you no longer need it. This can be done because Terraform manages the state of resources in a Terraform state file. If changes have been made to a resource outside of Terraform, next time you try to manage that resource with Terraform, Terraform will detect those changes and notify you before it takes any action on that resource. Let's say you have an EC2 instance that you originally created with Terraform. Then you decide you want to make that instance a little bit bigger. Maybe it needs more resources like CPU or RAM. So you decide to change the instance size via the AWS Management Console. Next time you try to use Terraform to manage that EC2 instance resource, Terraform will determine that the instance size has changed outside of Terraform and will notify you of these changes before you try to manage that EC2 instance again with Terraform. This ability to provision, manage, and destroy resources in an automated manner can really help companies save a lot of time and money because it gives them the ability to create truly ephemeral environments. At multiple companies I've worked at, I've used Terraform to do exactly this. I've used Terraform to start with a blank AWS account and set up VPCs, subnets, do application deployments either onto a Kubernetes cluster or EC2 instances. I set up load balancers in front of those, set up databases that the applications would then be able to reach out to, set up DNS records so that those applications would be available on the internet, and use automated testing once the entire application was set up in a completely automated manner to validate the application. And once it was validated or not, I was able to tear down the entire application and get back to that blank slate AWS environment multiple times a day. And it also allows me to safely be able to provision that and then tear it down at the end of my day and not have those resources just up and running at night or on the weekends whenever I'm not using them. This is why Terraform is my favorite tool in DevOps, and I absolutely love it. Now that I've sold you on the benefits of using Terraform, actually getting up and running with Terraform is also pretty simple. You simply go to Terraform's website and download a file containing the Terraform binary. The binary is a single file, pretty easy to install. Once you've got Terraform, you then can use that to provision resources by writing a resource definition file and running Terraform in the same directory that that resource definition file exists. And Terraform will then figure out how to actually provision those resources in your provider. So let's say you want to create an EC2 instance in AWS. You simply write your EC2 instance resource definition in the resource definition file, run Terraform in that directory, and Terraform will figure out how to actually provision that EC2 instance in the AWS account that you want to run it in. Now this explanation is pretty simple, but you can go to Terraform's website and they've got great tutorials on how to get up and running as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoyed this content on HashiCorp Terraform. Stick around for another video of mine on AWS and DevOps.